Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This week on the Kindness Project, we talk about history of the pandemic, TV host Bruce, and we have part 2 of our interview with Serena from Doncaster Street Hub.
Name?
Bagel.
Bagel! Specialist subject?
Fillings.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of the Kindness Project podcast. I'm joined by Bagel. What's your surname? Sorry, Bagel.
Brown.
Bagel Brown.
Yeah, so when you see it on a register, it'd be Brown Bagel.
Brown Bagel. I thought you were going to call yourself Bagel McBagel. That would have been better.
Like Boaty McBoatface.
I'm joined by Bagel McBagel, Bagel Brown, who is apparently changing her name by deed poll every single week.
And I'm joined by a man who seems to keep asking me very similar questions. It's Chris
Name,
James.
specialist subject.
Bagels.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's funny how you just managed to come up with, like, if I do it right now, name,
Time.
specialist subject,
Clocks.
clocks. And on that note, my friends, welcome to another episode of the Kindness Project. I hope you've had a lovely week and enjoying the world as it is. I'm hoping, because we're doing a sort of a bit of a bulk recording, so you're probably listening to this a month after or 5 weeks after we've actually recorded it. Or any time in the future, because I know that a lot of our listeners are catching up, like, sort of in terms of, you know, like, might listen to stuff previously, and that's why they say you shouldn't time reference a podcast too accurately, because people could listen to it whenever they want to. But
Does that mean that I'm eating the same bagel from 5 weeks ago?
you are multi bagel, but we are, and we're recording this just as the UK gets released into the world, and we can, you know, drink in pubs indoors again.
Make it sound like captured elephants.
Yeah, sort of. And do a lot of stuff that previously, because of COVID, we haven't had to do. So I'm hoping that whenever you listen to this, the world is in a bit of a, you know, we're on the right track still, aren't you?
Kids listening to this 20 years from now be like, global pandemic?
But you know what? I think it's interesting, and I know I've had this conversation on the podcast before, but this is going to be, we'll listen to this potentially in 30 years' time and go, that is it's like a it's like a time capsule, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon?
I reckon this will definitely be a GCSE history topic at some point in time.
What, the Kindness Project?
Oh, I wish. No, I meant like the global pandemic, you know, because like anything bad happens in the world and it turns up somewhere in a history textbook.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, because I wonder if we'll get, you know, as the sort of, as time goes on, whether we get a bit more of a historical context on it, because I think we're too close to it at the minute to have a bit of context on it, and I wonder what the perspective's going to be. And I suppose the challenge you've got is decisions that are made are always viewed in hindsight without the information at the time. So, you know, I think there is an argument to say that political leaders could have made better decisions, but I also look at it and go, you know, I'm in a position where I don't know whether I could have done any better.
No.
You know, because, you know, you're reacting to a live event, which is often quite difficult to do, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, today's question of the podcast is all about...
I don't know what it is.
Oh, should I say it then?
Yes.
It's what TV, game or quiz show would you bring back? Because I was talking at the end of last week's podcast about the Krypton factor. I think that's the one I'd bring back, because I love the Krypton factor.
I think they should bring back the Bruce's The Price is Right.
Bruce's The Price is Right. How are they going to bring back Bruce's The Price is Right without Bruce?
Find a different Bruce.
Sorry. Yeah.
Find a different Bruce.
They're interviewing people. I'm really sorry. You are the most amazing quiz show host we've ever seen in our life. Unfortunately, your name's Steve, so you can't have the job. You've got to be a Bruce.
Find a different Bruce.
Or they could change your name by default to Bruce, couldn't they? So they are a Bruce.
So, my name isn't really Bruce, but we're keeping with tradition. This is Bruce's The Price is Right. We're bringing it back in memory of Bruce.
Well, they did bring back The Price is Right, didn't they?
For one episode.
You know what my favourite Price is Right game is? And I think we've spoke about this on the podcast before. The one with the little yodeler that falls off the mountain. Yeah, that is my favourite
I
Price
like the
is
big
Right.
wheel at the end. Just go whoop.
How do you go?
Oh, whoop.
Is that how you push a big wheel? Ow, whoop!
That's how you pull a big wheel round.
Oh, right, okay. Ow, whoop!
Ow, whoop.
And it was like, you know what it was like? Bruce is the Price. We've got to call it Bruce is the Price is Right now. I love the fact that the wheel, despite its size, made the same noise as that little wheel on the Game of Life or one of them. Yeah, it was amazing. So, okay, let's assume it's not Bruce's Price is Right. It's just the Price is Right. Who would you have host it?
Bruce.
Bruce Springsteen.
Just a Bruce.
See, the problem is, I don't know any random Bruce.
Any random Bruce.
And it don't matter.
Pull one off the street.
The problem is Bruce isn't the most popular name anymore, is it?
No. It might have to become like Alan's The Price is Right.
Are you thinking Alan Carr?
No.
No?
No, just pull some random Alan off the street. Tell him he's got the job.
Alan, you're on. What? I'm going to work. I'm a BT engineer. No, you're not anymore, Alan. You're the new host of The
Maybe
Price is
by
Right.
day you are.
By day, BT engineer. By night, host. You put on the spangly jacket, and suddenly you're the host of The Price is Right.
Be far better than what they did to Supermarket Sweep.
By day, funeral director. By night, new host is The Price is Right. Well, what's the matter with Supermarket Sweep?
I don't like the new one.
But Ryland's, I mean, the problem is with Ryland is he's doing everything at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's. I just don't like it. I like the American one. They brought it back in America. And
Yeah,
it's good.
I like the fact that they get to go wild in the aisles. By day, financial planner. By
I
night,
know, wild in the aisles.
going wild in the aisles and getting banned from Lidl. Anyway, on that note, my friends, please. I'm not really banned from Lidl or
He does go wild
Waitrose
in the
or
aisle, though.
Sainsbury's or Asda's. Don't ask me about Tesco's. But
Man from one particular Tesco's, the rest haven't found out how mad you are.
on that note, can you let people know how
Yeah,
they might
so
be able to get in touch with us?
While the old man's going wild in the aisles, we have a Twitter at All the Kindness. We have a Facebook, and if you just type the Kindness Project into the Facebook search bar thingy, it will come up. We should come up. Oh, I hope we come up. We better come up.
Or I'm going wild in the aisles.
And
By day, podcaster. By night, frustrated about her Facebook following and going wild in the aisles.
anyway, moving on. The website is www.thekindnessproject.co.uk and the email is honour@thekindnessproject.co.uk. We don't talk about MySpace anymore because
No, we don't. On that note, because we're not talking about MySpace, first rule about MySpace is you don't talk about MySpace. But just one thing, can you check whether www.wildintheaisles.co.uk is available? Because if it is, I'm getting it.
I'm not going to do it right now.
No, we're doing a podcast right now, but after, can you do that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool, thank you. Should we get on with the show?
Let's do it.
So we've got the second part of Serena's interview this week.
Yeah.
I loved chatting to Serena. We talk about the Hygiene Bank. We talk about kindness in general, and we talk about how some of the things that we experience as a society are invisible to a lot of us because we just don't know about them. And Serena does an amazing job highlighting the issues the Hygiene Bank helps with.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to part 1 of the interview, you can check that out on last week's podcast. Definitely
Take it back now, yo. Go back to the last episode and listen to us and listen to the interview and
go wild in your house.
Come back when you're done.
Come back when you're done.
Please come back. Please don't leave us. Please don't go.
Otherwise, we're just two people on our own talking into a thing about going wild in the aisle. And on that note, should we get on with the show?
Yeah, let's go.
It's that loss of confidence as well, isn't it? You know, like because you can't do it.
Yeah, but saying that you're getting 80% of what you usually get, it's kind of a big illusion because it's basically saying, oh, here's 80%, when really it's here's everything but 1/5 of what you were earning before. And when put that way, the amount you're actually not getting seems so much bigger. But because you're using a number in terms of 100% instead of actually scaling it to what it actually is, it seems a lot better.
That makes sense. I think the other thing as well is if you've got people who are living on potentially minimum wage and like sort of struggling to make budget, that 20% then feels really big, right? You know,
we're not talking people who saved money because they weren't going to the cinema or going out for a meal or whatever. Those people didn't do it anyway. Somebody self-employed or in the theatre industries or musicians, perhaps people who were actually pretty affluent before suddenly have nothing.
No, they're not.
And all it takes then is the washing machine to have broken or your rental contract to have run out on your house. And suddenly you're in poverty when you never thought you would be in poverty.
It's had a huge impact. So the time you've spent during COVID has been busy from the charity perspective.
I would say that's a slight understatement.
I've also got a business to run, by the way. I'll do that in my spare time, should I?
Yeah, it was. There were times where, 2 or 3 in the morning, we'd still be trying to match orders online. You name it, we were doing it. We've had help. My neighbours, my colleague Joe's mother. You name it, people have stepped in to really try and help us. But the problem you have, again, with any charity industry is a lot of people that help are then affected by the problems themselves. So we had staff, volunteers, staff who were furloughed themselves, who were shielding, who had COVID. And it's the same, all the food banks, the schools, etc. All the people that are then helping the people to get the products aren't there themselves to do anything. So across the town, and of course across the United Kingdom, but it's the town I've particularly seen, people have been running on fresh air to try and get support out there. And honestly, some of the work people have been doing in the community partners we've been helping, I swear, they're absolute saints. They're incredible people.
I mean, we said before we started, the reason we do this is to highlight some of those stories of people doing amazing work. And COVID actually is, even though it's been devastating for a lot of people, and we consider, and probably you as well, Serena, we're really grateful that actually our impact has been minimal. But it's also shown how kind people can be, and actually giving people the opportunity to be kind, because I volunteered for the NHS. I actually didn't get called up, but I volunteered for the NHS support scheme, did all that sort of stuff, and it just gave people the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm lucky in this and I need to give back a bit. I think that's important.
And I think as well, a lot of people already were, they just it was so hidden that people didn't realise. And what I've tended to find certainly around my village is give people the opportunity to help by asking for something, and they will do anything they can, because a lot of the time they didn't know how to.
Yeah.
But the hearts were always there. I mean, an example is seriously the other day, I was standing outside in the throwing down rain, sorting out 4 pallets of donations.
Right.
And this lady, total stranger, just stopped a car, watching me in. Why didn't I put on waterproof mascara for a start? With my mask, like literally a drowning panda.
So we're going like Kiss tribute acts, are we?
Except not as glam and nor as skinny. And this total stranger stopped the car and was like, "Can I come and help you?"
Amazing,
like, yes, please. And that's what you're getting. It's so lovely.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
You've got a question. We're on number 6. Question number 6.
Have we not done number 6, in general? Okay. You took a breath there. Nope, you're not going to say anything. Anyway, what other challenges do you face? I mean, other than...
Yeah, so we've talked about COVID. What are the challenges you doing the work you do? What do you face that you that you struggle with?
We struggle with finding volunteers who can distribute.
Okay.
So volunteers who can lift the boxes and all of that. That's a logistical issue, and that will always be a logistical issue.
Okay.
If we get offered a big donation, we struggle where to put it because, lorry drivers often have no set time in the day. They get given an hour and you're in it. So you haven't got any time slots to work to. So thankfully, my clients are amazing and they are so used to meetings and me going, "Oh God, a lorry's arrived," running out the drive. They're very understanding and I'm very grateful.
And now I've just got with you coming back to a Zoom meeting just with your mascara.
Oh, yeah. My dignity's gone. Fortunately, I was always quite scruffy, so I think they're used to it. So it's not so dramatic a change, but this has got worse. I think the volunteer thing is always going to be a big deal because the bigger we get as a charity, the more volunteers we get. And also just keeping donations coming because there is just not enough ever across the country.
Yeah.
I mean, one week we had 26 pallets of toilet cleaner came in and it went out again. That's crazy levels, isn't it?
You know what the question in my head is, what happened before this charity existed? Do you know what I mean? You're filling a need there.
Yeah.
You as an organisation didn't exist 2 years ago. Just people went without, didn't they?
I think so.
Take for granted was just like. Yeah, so thank you for the work you do. We appreciate it, Charlotte.
Okay, next one. If you had a magic wand, what one thing would you change to help you support?
I think that's probably an easy one, isn't it? So it would be that everyone had access to essential hygiene products.
Yeah.
We're not asking for the world there. We're not asking for Dior lipsticks or anything else. We're asking
for the basics.
That people can be clean. And my personal one, I think, on that. So that would be what we would want as a charity. And I think my personal one, having heard some of the stories, certainly around here, would be that everyone had accommodation that was suitable so that it could be clean and safe for them as well.
Yeah.
And hygiene, sorry, I know you don't usually step in, but I have something to say. Anyway.
It's your podcast as well.
Yeah. And hygiene is so important, especially now when there's germs going around everywhere, and hygiene is going to help people not catch COVID, not spread COVID, not spread other diseases, not catch other diseases. Yeah. I mean, at this time, you could catch one and that could leave you vulnerable to another, and it just throws the whole thing off. And hygiene is so much more important in people's heads now.
Correct.
Yeah. So I hope that this opens people's eyes and get you guys some more help.
Yeah.
Well, to give you an example, I mean, these are 2 examples I often give because I think they're just mind-boggling that in this day and age, this is how it is. We literally hear of families who are all sharing a bowl of water to wash. That is the level we're at in this day and age.
And then the challenge you've got is that's hidden, isn't it? Like in our day-to-day lives, we don't see that. Yeah.
Because they can't afford the water. If they're in rental properties, the landlord can adjust the water.
Yeah,
so they can make it more expensive. They can't afford to heat the water.
Yeah.
And they end up using, we've often seen this discussed, some washing up liquid for everything in the house because it's the cheapest thing they can get hold of.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So one of our schools was telling us a while ago that we support the kids in this particular family had never had their own toothbrush.
Right.
They'd never had one. So all day long they were carrying their kids' toothbrushes around because they were so excited. You know, that's the level you're at. So when we hear things in the media and stuff saying, well, I bet they've all got flat screen TVs, I bet they've all got designer trainers. No, they really haven't.
No.
I'm not saying there aren't people like that out there. There probably are. However, the ones that we are seeing through our community partners and hearing stories who are actively involved in them day in, day out, they are nothing like that. The homeless people in Doncaster through COVID had no access to running water because all the water fountains had stopped. So how do you wash your hands? The public toilets were shut.
Yeah.
And I know the plan is obviously everyone should be off the street, etc. But there were still plenty there who couldn't even drink, let alone wash.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any support from local authority, or what did they do to help? And that is part of the mission, just a bit of lobbying to make sure that they get involved.
To be honest, our council, I think, really try very hard.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anything other than the support they've given us, but they have been miraculous in the support they've given us to try and help.
But there's a challenge, isn't there? You know, because as you say, everybody's stretched relatively thin. So just to be clear, I just wanted to get this out there. The council's doing well. So are Boots. Thank you, Boots. I'm just trying to redeem myself so I can let in my local Boots again. Have you got moving on?
Yes. It's the last one. It's the last one. It's right. We're not going to mess up anymore. It's the last one.
Go. Oh, no, actually, no. There's an extra question I want to ask. Tell me a story that best describes the work you do.
Oh, gosh. About a particular recipient that we know of?
Yeah.
Okay, I think there are two. I mean, apart from the toothbrush story, which I cry all the time. In fact, Joe and I, because it's maybe us two and we've got our other volunteers around us, but we hit at the forefront of hearing all the stories. So we cry constantly at stories. But there's one, there's a particular mother and daughter in Doncaster who were affluent until pretty recently, escaped from domestic violence, but because they are still technically married, she was literally living, they were living on the free school meal vouchers, lunches, that was it, for months and months. And so we put together, obviously through her community partner, social workers, etc., we put together the care package for that. Obviously other charities were trying to do other things, but that person literally went to nothing at all. No benefits, no nothing, because you can't claim
if you're self-employed. Yeah.
She was married.
Oh, right.
But he, of course, had refused access, all of these things. So there are lots of things going on. We obviously don't know who this person is. We just know the generic story because we don't ever hear of the names or anything like that. But that's the severity that you can go to. One day, you can literally be without and entitled to nothing.
You know what we've spoken about on the podcast before. You know, just like the people, and we're on the outskirts of London. I when we could do this sort of thing, I used to have a stroll around London, and we used to do what we can. Do you remember that day when we did just got some sandwiches and just moving around London to time? And I said, it was on that day we spoke about it first, and I said, don't assume that person's any different to you, because you could be a nervous breakdown away from being that person. You could be, you know, actually these are people who are just like you with challenges that have put them in that situation. And yeah, that just understanding that then gives you a bit of humanity, hopefully, to help.
Oh, right? Without a doubt. And, you know, you look at some of the stories from some of the refugees and asylum seekers that we the charity support. And some of the stories are just, well, they're awe-inspiring what they've gone through and still remain so kind and thoughtful. It's quite incredible. I mean, one story I had the other day, and as a mother of a nearly 17-year-old daughter, you will get this one too. We got a call from, I think it was a social worker, saying we've got a girl who is 17, miscarrying in a hostel with not a thing to her name. She changed her name because of child protection issues, so she wasn't entitled to claim any benefits at this stage. They were having to sort all that. She didn't even have a loaf of bread in the hostel while she was miscarrying on her own as a child.
Yeah, it's and this is why the work that good people do is so important, isn't it? So thank you again.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is as well, and maybe COVID is one of the real positive things here, is people are all starting to talk more about all of this.
Yeah.
Because the shame that the country had of all of this is now being shouted quite loudly about free school meals.
Yeah. I mean,
how many people are on them?
I mean, it's really interesting. What I'd consider a no-brainer, just helping people who need it the most.
Yeah.
Is and at a cost. Like if the government fund this scheme, they're it's not actually an extortionate amount of money. I mean, it's weird because as a kid, I am 43. So as a kid, I used to get milk at school. Do you remember that?
Me too.
And then they got rid of it, and there was like a bit of an outcry. And actually, the cost of doing that was relatively small, wasn't it? And it was one of those things that supported kids who weren't getting the help. So I'm so glad that Marcus Rashford got involved and really highlighted and kept it classy as well. Because like we were talking earlier about whether you can persuade on social media. If you want one example of somebody who's done that really well, it's Marcus Rashford, isn't it? He's done amazing work.
Oh, last question. Where can people...
Last question. What was that?
1, 2, 3. Where can people find out more about the work the Hygiene Bank does?
Okay, well, if I plug the Doncaster project first, because I'm biased, then obviously the Hygiene Bank Doncaster on our Facebook, or THB Doncaster on all the others. But for anything else in the country, all the other 149-ish projects, the main website, etc., is the Hygiene Bank. But on there, I didn't know that until quite recently, so that's really bad. But if you put your postcode in, it tells you where your nearest drop-off point is. How lovely is that? How clever. I didn't know we had that.
I actually knew that because I was doing some research and had a look on the website. Just out of interest, when did you find out?
Last night.
All right, okay. So I knew before you. Great, amazing.
It's fine.
I know where they are.
It took us both weeks to learn the website, the email, and the Twitter handle for the kind.
Yeah, exactly. We still get a Twitter handle wrong. So,
and we just started up recording again. And neither. Well, I couldn't remember it solidly. I was like, are we sure?
Well, the thing is, because we were doing it every day during lockdown 1, the challenge we faced is we had 6 months worth of audio because the actual audio podcast only goes out once a week. So we were talking about like sort of August in Christmas and New Year's episode because we were so far in front. And
we didn't notice until we got about 2 weeks into the New Year's worth of content.
So and just so we know, www.boots.co.uk, they do amazing work to help and support you.
Actually, several other brand partners.
Other partners are available.
Other partners are available.
Actually.
You're going to cause me real problems.
Their full temperatures are probably a bit better. How
would you dig yourself?
No, we love Boots. I'm saying we love Boots. Right. Help me understand. Thank you, Boots. Help me understand who else supports you so we can give them a shout out.
There's loads of brand partners. Some of them like to remain anonymous. Yeah. So we've had Wimbledon. Let's use Wimbledon as a brilliant example. Wimbledon obviously was cancelled. So they gave us in Doncaster 4,000 of their towels.
Amazing.
I know.
Yeah. So that's absolutely brilliant. I love that.
We've had some really incredible stuff. So that was then sent out to all the schools and homeless, etc. So everybody had a good towel, and they came in a little tote bag, washed, that was waterproof, and
nice little gift as well.
That is gorgeous.
Branded towel, I love it. Absolutely
Gorgeous.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us today, and again, apologies if we've got you in any trouble.
Yeah, if I get asked now not to be a volunteer again, I should blame you entirely.
But Serena, you knew what you were getting into. You were a fan. Right. The problem is, we always go a bit cheeky, don't we? So you like sort of you knew. I'll take a bit of responsibility, but Anyway, should we end the interview right there?
Yes.
Thank you.
So that was the amazing Serena. Do you want to give her a surname a go?
No.
Me neither. Thank you,
We're
Serena.
so sorry that we can't pronounce it properly. You're brilliant. We don't want to offend you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's because we love you so much. We don't want to offend you. But as everybody can attest to, thanks for the work you do, and let's get on with the show.
'Tis the end of another podcast. And the end is never truly the end, because the end is the
Why
only
did you just pat me on the head?
You were going to say it, and I have decided I'm taking over.
Off you go.
The end is never truly the end. The end is only the beginning of something entirely new, and our something entirely new is the answer to last week's question, the podcast. So this week, last week, this week, last week. I'm bringing that back. We dropped it ages ago, but I'm bringing it back. So last week's question was, what pizza topping should be banned or included on every single pizza?
As you're taking over this week, I'm stepping away. You're doing it.
Let's do it. Clive Jelf, did I say that right?
This is your show now.
Oh, fine. Chilies on pizza should be against the law. I agree. Steve Dan said, controversial, but I like pineapple on pizza. Olives should be banned. I like olives and I like pineapple, so I'm not really with you there. Sorry, Steve. Johnny...
How dare you insult Steve?
Johnny Piper said, chilies every time. Anchovies can do one. I don't mind anchovies, but I disagree with the chilies. Nick Champion, anything goes on a pizza, but if anyone has pineapple on pizza, then we can't be friends.
I mean, that is...
Sorry, Nick.
That is a paradox. Anything on a pizza, apart from pineapples, because we cannot be friends.
Sarah Sutherland said anything goes on a pizza except anchovies. I don't mind anchovies. Ian Brasher said ban pineapple. What is it with all this pineapple hate, man? Always add olives. Surely it's not Italian without olives. True. I do like olives. I do like olives. Oh my god.
Rachel Vahey said tomato. Rachel Vahey said,
I thought you said this
please
was mine.
turn Twitter off, Charlotte, so I can't check what the answer is. Rachel Vahey said tomato sauce. None of this white Pete. I agree with that.
Yeah, tomato sauce on every pizza.
It's got to be a margarita base, otherwise it isn't happening. So completely agree with that, Rachel. And then Eve Keith said I'd include jalapeno and I'd exclude pineapple. What is it with all this pineapple?
Oh, I don't appreciate your hating against pineapple.
Oh, you know what? You cannot beat a good old pineapple on a pizza, I don't think.
What's wrong with the Hawaiian?
Don't know. I quite like Hawaii.
I quite like Hawaiian. We never get it because we're a meat
excuse
feast
to wear a
family.
grass skirt is always good. And on that note, the image of a 6'2" hairy-legged man wearing a
7
grass
foot
skirt.
in denial.
That's the end of another show.
Bye.
Have a lovely day. Have a good time.
Have a good time.